Hello, check, check. Okay. All right. We could go.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for tonight's Discipline Therapy podcast with your two hosts, Mr. E.L. Discipline, and with him always, Suhey Sotomayor. Tonight's episode, season 12, episode 129. Why are gender roles a trigger? But before we get into anything, you know how we do. We got to clear the energy, clear the air. Still going. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. This show is sponsored by Rude Sac. Um, that's French. Sac means bag, but in English it's Rud Sac. So, company's been around since 1994. It's Montreal, Quebec. See, I'm rocking this leather hoodie by them. It is stretch. Feel that inside.
Oh,
Feel that. That's suede,
that's nice.
suede, and then has it embroidered. Feel that. Okay. Yeah. So
Can I feel that
there's
one more
about a
time?
few stores in U.S., but they're predominantly in Canada. So
That's nice. Canadians make a lot of good like winter
yeah,
wear.
it's a high end. It's
Yeah.
a high end brand. A lot of people don't know about it yet. But this show is sponsored by that. Also, our online store, Discipline Therapy dot
Launch card.
launchcard dot store slash shop, and then everything else. We're also available on Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, so major listening platforms. Don't forget YouTube, the Discipline Therapy podcast slash YouTube .com, and then
Patreon.
Patreon. Yes, everything is in the links are in the description. All right, so now we can get into it.
All right. Well, we have, like I said, season 12, episode 129. Why are gender roles a trigger?
We have a returning guest. Lessons of a Housewife.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
you can.
All right.
You didn't do your thing though.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So before I do that, as I'm excited, I'm excited to have her on again. We're gonna talk.
I
We're gonna
appreciate y'all having me back.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we know y'all fiends, and you know what that means. We're serving you your dose weekly of discipline therapy, where not everything is completely free, as we are on Patreon for a plethora of exclusive content for you to see. But what is free is a judgment-free, sucker-free, censor-free, sensitive-free, and some liberty. God and the ancient ancestors are great, and that means everything else is straight. So go grab your wine, popcorn, and my favorite roll of blunt, but make sure the children are in bed, because we have that soul food and sometimes vulgar conversation. Prepare your mind to be fed. Like one up, inhale life, and exhale strife. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are tuned in to the Discipline Therapy Podcast. We're
We're
here.
here.
Okay. So, Legends of a Housewife, I appreciate you coming back on.
Thank you for having me again, you guys.
Yes. So, why do you believe gender roles are a trigger, especially in today's society?
I believe they trigger today's society more on the women's side of things because gender roles which is a natural role given for man and woman, involves the discipline structure for the woman to remain in order of the man.
Mm,
I believe,
okay.
they will have to be held more accountable for their actions, restricted from thoughtless spending, watch their tongue, of course, and be in place of servitude for the family.
You know, miss, I hold you in high regards.
Oh, thank you.
That's a big deal coming from someone like me.
Yeah. Excuse
I
me.
never tell you this, but whenever I get followers or people I know closely, I always, you're like one of the pages that I tell them to go to and follow.
Wow, I appreciate that.
I say, you want to learn how to be feminine? Go to this, go to that. You're on top of the list. Like I have like five I could name on the top of my head who are about femininity and their role and submission and how women should be, behave, especially hold themselves to a standard in society. I always send them your way, whether it's your YouTube, your Instagram. So
Wow, thank you so much.
I have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate that.
so Sue, we're
Yes.
gonna do a panel
Okay.
so we could less time consuming. So why do you believe there's why are gender roles a
Oh,
tree?
well, I think it depends on how that person was raised and what traumas they've either witnessed or experienced. I feel like if they're so for females, if they're young and they see okay, perfect example. We had a show with mm, I forgot her name from Japan,
Yumika?
Yumika, right?
Mhm,
She said that her they're very traditional there, right?
mhm,
The women are very submissive and they
mhm.
but she said they both said actually that the mom said, "Don't follow me, do
What you want?
right, do think for yourself." So I
Okay.
feel like in whatever circumstance that is,
Mhm,
right? If when a young girl sees her mother maybe in a not such a great relationship
mhm,
and maybe how that man is treating the mom,
mhm,
whether it's the father or boyfriend or whatever, I
mhm,
feel like that puts it in a girl's mind. I don't want to be like that.
mhm,
It automatically puts it in such a bad light, obviously, because that man is not helping the woman, which would be the mother or whatever,
mhm,
come to her natural, femininity in a more positive way.
mhm. Okay, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Lessons of a housewife. Gender roles trigger non-traditional people, non-submissive, and non-dominant people as well. Why do you
Right.
believe this? Because I know you said it's directed more towards women, why they feel like they have a problem. But from what my observation as well, men are following that. Why do you believe this?
The men that follow or lack the understanding of women's, well, female nature,
Okay.
and when they lack understanding of female nature, they're basing their drive around the compassion they have for the gender of women themselves.
Mm,
You know, I think women, especially modern women, have taken advantage of the compassion that gentlemen, regular men would actually have for us.
mm,
It pretty much put society in a place to give women more leniency where they're able to leave homes, where they're able to work and have jobs, and where they're able to create their own finances. Now we're at a point where they're even wanting to have children without fathers in the homes. So women took advantage of that compassion men have. And a lot of men that still have that compassion kind of lack the understanding of female nature that they will be taken advantage of no matter how much they give. So I think men that on the side of falling in the lines of not want to follow the traditional role need to understand women more and that women have a nature of chaos built within them without the order of man.
mm. What do you think, Sue?
Of why men are more like that, you're asking? Or on women.
More,
I think
more.
men that um don't like gender role, like she said, they may not know themselves or the women, but I think mostly it's because they want to get on the woman's good side.
Mm,
That's how what I feel. I feel like they're just jumping on the bandwagon because they feel like, oh, if she sees me siding with her or agreeing with her over, the man that does believe in gender roles, she's gonna, I guess his hope is that she'll pick him.
yeah, I was saying this in the last show
Were you?
with young Marcus. Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes both of you ladies. I agree with definitely. So lessons of a housewife. Do you believe that there are spiritual consequences? for fighting our nature and not performing in our natural role? Like,
Yes,
are you
that
religious? Are you spiritual?
um my structure behind my husband is not necessarily based behind religion. We're not practicing.
Okay.
He's very educated in a lot of religions. One of his favorite is Buddhism.
Mhm.
Um, but we construct our household as on Christian values and follow his order, of course, of how he deems fit for the family. So it involves a lot of insight from multiple religions, but
Mhm.
we're non-practicing.
Okay. So you said you believe that there's spiritual consequences for
I
fighting
do,
the nature. Why?
yes. I want to say something. I don't know if it kind of involves. I kind of had a realization of it today, but I believe it involves the spiritual. Like if you base it around the whole construct of Christianity, the traditional values in that, it's based behind God, Jesus, and following Him. That the whole book itself is showing how to maintain an order, so you would be prosperous, so to speak.
Mm.
They have a negative side on following Lucifer, and I like to say Lilith. A lot of women follow her. It brings on what I believe is the worst things that humanity could be in nature, which is why they consider Satan, the name Lucifer, called the light bringer. It's kind of like he shines the light on the real, negative nature that humanity can be,
Mm.
as in God understands that and tells them to follow this guideline to stay away from that demonic nature of us to remain prosperous. It forms an order. Without that structure, you are breaking, when you break that structure, when you don't follow something of a higher power or spiritual power that's on the positive side of creation, you're doomed to fall down to all that is negative. And I can see that being the result in today's society, how far women have become lost, how our men have become more weak, how
Mhm.
our children are left without guidance, left without leadership, left without examples of what they need to be. And
Mhm.
that's why chaos is run amok now, because there's no type of structure that falls in the spiritual guidelines of order
Mhm.
in the biblical sense.
Mhm.
So
So
everybody's
Right.
suffering.
you're right. So
To be honest, I never really thought about it in a spiritual aspect in that regards. But and also I'm not religious. I went, growing up, I went to Catholic school, like hardcore Catholicism
mhm.
with the scary music and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But I'm not religious. I am more spiritual, but again, I never really thought about it in those terms. But listening to our guest, I agree with that. I believe that maybe I think that in this in now, in this time, religion for the most part is very like nonchalant. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of religion I feel in the world right now where people are really, even spirituality,
Devote.
right? So, in thinking about it now with the question that you just asked, I could see how that can, that can affect it if they don't have a belief or a purpose and they're not gonna try to better themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, let me ask you something, and then we'll get to the next ones. Do you believe in toxic energy?
Yes.
Do you believe in divine energy?
Yes.
That's spiritual. What would make somebody do uncharacteristic things?
Um.
Evil, right? Like
Well,
a spirit?
I mean,
Okay, what would make a woman who's intelligent? Maybe she's book smart, got degrees, whatever, seems competent. What make her do uncharacteristic things?
I think if she's lost, like in
Okay,
her mind, she's lost. Does that
okay.
make sense? She has
G-
nothing to follow.
Grown woman,
Yeah.
right, can tell right from wrong.
Hmm.
Would make her she's lost.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if she's also inebriated? Don't you think those things also play into toxic behavior?
Yeah.
Even in the Bible, we've agreed, been rewritten or whatever. You don't have to agree and follow. But even the Bible, it says, man, woman, don't get drunk.
Right.
Why? Because of those things, it will make you do uncharacteristic things, whatever, all of that is evil. It's very rare that you can have people be inebriated and still control
That's
their
true, but
actions.
a lot of people turn to drugs or
Hmm.
alcohol because they're suffering in some way, whether it
Okay.
be mental, if whatever it is, they want to escape that. So I don't
Hmm.
necessarily think that they're doing that to be evil. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I think it depends on the person.
Okay.
Again, it depends on their situation of
Okay.
why that would happen.
Okay.
But I
So,
do agree with you guys, though.
so for me, there are spiritual consequences. Divine is godly, God and goddess. It is something that is good. We're not saints, you know what I'm saying? But it is the closest thing to purity. Toxic
Right.
is evil. It's evil spirit. When you can see a woman who is established, she talks about strong, independent, but she's doing uncharacteristic things, twerking online, doing OnlyFans. What is that? That doesn't make sense. It looks like she's possessed. This isn't The Exorcist. She's doing uncharacteristic things. That's an evil spirit. My opinion. There are spiritual consequences to you not being in your nature, and that woman suffers consequences. Not getting the man she wants, losing her job, possibly. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand it. When we talk about masculine and feminine energy, that's spiritual. So we all established, we all agreed that women have more of a problem than this. And men want to connect with women more, so they're following women.
Right. I honestly believed we were at the lowest point um, to no return, honestly, of the gender roles being what it is, especially if we got a continuous influx of weak men being created to follow these types of women and women falling in the paths of Lilith that are on entertainment, telling them that this is the pathway. I thought we would get to a point where there would have to be part of like an internal war where women are stripped from everything they deem they hold and desire to have to turn back to men for order.
Possible risk, like a flat tire.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, gender roles, it's non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Just use your imagination. Gender roles is non-existent. I'm a man. I could do what a woman could do, and I could also do what a man could do. I'm a woman. I could do what a man could do, and I could also do what a woman could do. A woman is
Right.
driving, tire blows out. Is that a situation where she would throw out gender roles, or she would get out there and change it?
No, she would definitely um, try to go back into the gender roles aspect.
Mm,
I believe a lot of women today
okay.
consider the roles of man to remain in traditional, as in they are allowed to be modern.
Mm,
Um, they still do that today. So,
okay. So,
yeah, I don't see her actually wanting to change that tire at all.
So, do you know of any other circumstances where gender roles implemented? Myself, we're saying that people have an issue with gender roles. What circumstances would gender roles now be implemented? Like, I want gender
Right.
roles now.
Hmm.
That was
Right.
that was
Oh,
my.
at its worst times.
There
It's
you go.
always at its worst times. Women are don't realize where they went wrong till it's too late. It's a it's a nature in us to always constantly make mistakes without the order of man, and then we realize when it's too late. So, like just how times are at today's society, how it is. When it stuff really hits the fan, and women actually need to be protected. Women actually need to be provided for. And it's the most simplistic forms of protection and provision of man is when they actually want to decide to settle down and do the role that deemed fit for them to begin with. It's always a situation where they expect the man to still come save them. They always expect the man to actually be there at their lowest points of life. And what's happening in society now is they're realizing that men no longer want to. So
Mm.
Yep.
it's going to take calamity to fully be in effect for women to want to throw out their actual traditional role and be put in a place of that they were supposed to be. As in, they're always going to try to see men as being the traditional role, no matter what goes on, and no
Mm.
matter how they are.
Mm.
I agree. So,
I think certain jobs, like
mm,
anything that has to do with, okay, out in like the fields of, I don't know, Ohio or Idaho, something like that. Those big towers
mhm,
that somebody has to go all the way up there and check, and sometimes they're almost in the clouds.
mhm.
I don't think any woman would want to go do that. I don't think any woman wants to go to war.
Mm,
I don't think, a job where you have to go down into the sewer and clean it out, or a Terminator,
mm.
or not a Terminator, exterminator.
Extent,
Sorry,
yeah,
that
extent.
goes and gets animals that are
Yes,
stuck, or rats or snakes or something.
rodents, bugs.
Right, certain
Mhm,
jobs and war, I think definitely. But I also
Yeah.
think men wouldn't want to, give birth or be pregnant,
mm.
or
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah, so okay, you're going both sides. That's right. I wouldn't want to have a period.
Yeah.
All right. I wouldn't want to give birth. I damn, I wouldn't want to go through like the PMS stage. Whoa,
Mm-hmm.
that's
And that honestly, those are very minimal compared to what y'all have to go through in
mm,
life. You take away just childbirth for man, the emotional aspects of PMS and being the bearer of children. I mean, everything else that's put on your shoulders, every brick that y'all have to take to make society flourish and functional
mhm.
is a lot more than just being that. And that's what women fail to realize. We have it a lot easier. We
I,
have it a whole lot easier being in a traditional role.
I'm glad.
And
Uh,
they they want their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to be in a place of a traditional role, all while still being a modern woman, and expect to still have their own money. They expect to still have their own account. Expect to still have ruling of the home. Expect the man to still be there to provide for it, while they can follow their own law. In traditional roles, there is only law through the man. My husband runs this house completely. I follow every guideline that he has for me, and I instill that within the children. And without the structure that he's put on me, I would be a lost soul. And
mm,
that's why a lot of women out here are lost souls. They
mm,
haven't received that guidance in their home from the paternal, which is why they don't know how to choose the man right when they leave home. And now they're picking in just anything that they see on site. And then they get to a point where they're no longer even being chose. So I think the structure of man, y'all hold a lot more on y'all shoulders. Y'all have to provide for family. Y'all have to go out there and still work. And y'all will work way more hours than women actually work. Y'all do the toughest jobs. Y'all have built society. Y'all are the blue collar or the backbones of this country, and have to come home and still maintain everything and keep your mindset in place to be able to still meet some of the emotional sides of your wife and be happy around your kids, or while you're having a fight outside your home. It's a lot more that men do than women. So just being a child bearer, having some PMS times is way easier. But women want to make it seem like they're victims with just that, and they're getting a good taste now on how it is to be a man
mm.
in
You
society, which is why they still are crying about how they are lonely because men don't want to choose them for the choices they made.
you're right. You triggered my memory. I'm glad you said all of that. I read an article last month about this feminist who was complaining that I
Men
see at
have
the
it
corner of
easy.
my head
Mm-hmm.
you're nodding. Right? Men have it easier. So what she did was she got a sex change.
She transitioned. Yep.
And
Right,
when she realized that she was wrong, she committed suicide.
A year she
right. I
lasted.
heard of that
She
story.
Yeah, she lasted 1 year as a man.
Mm. Yeah. So, what other circumstances? I agree with you, ladies. I'm gonna add. Like we already talked about the tire. I just feel like due to risk, survival, I'm gonna add perhaps the bedroom. More women want to be dominated in there than men.
Yes.
You don't really hear
Yeah.
men saying, "Spank me, pull my hair, choke me." I mean, he might have long hair. He might say, "Hey, girl, I'm into this stuff." But most, that's where roles will be implemented.
Right.
Um, God forbid, burglar, trespasser.
Right.
We go out, bad area, there's danger. That's where it will be implemented. Um, but yeah, everything else I agree with. So, last question. So being that it's like a follow-up question with this, because with the gender roles being implemented and then the dynamics still having an issue with it, can you trust people who are inconsistent with what they say, practice, like, or desire?
Can I trust people
Who are
with,
inconsistent with what
who
they
are inconsistent with what they say, follow their
practice,
desires, and
pra-
practice?
practice, like, or desire? Can you?
I I think any person who's disciplined to keep their structure going is somebody I will always want to listen to and trust.
Mm,
Um, I don't believe that there's you should follow a person that's inconsistent. You
mm,
know, you have to have a lot of discipline to be consistent.
mm,
And just for example, like gym, when you're in the gym
mm,
or working out, consider yourself working out, you have to be consistent, be disciplined. So, um, does anyone that follows their desires is not living in reality? I think everybody desires something,
mm,
but it doesn't overrule the fact of the necessities you need as a human, as a person.
mm,
I follow someone who actually works towards the needs in life instead of wants.
mm,
Um,
That's
so
good.
yeah,
mm.
I would only trust the disciplined person that is working towards the necessities of life to become prosperous, not somebody that's on desires and fluctuate on um, on their character. It's,
Mm.
Mm.
and doesn't be consistent with what they say or do. No.
So,
No, I don't think that you can trust people who are inconsistent because that just shows you that, they flip flop. They're not,
mm,
Right.
solid on one thing. And, to have somebody, if I'm sure we all know somebody that they tell you, oh, this pen is purple. You come along, you say, no, it's actually blue. And they're like, oh, yeah, I could see that. Like, you can't trust that they might just be agreeing with you and they're not going to tell you the truth.
yeah.
That's what I
So it's a
think.
rhetorical question. I'm glad you ladies explained it like that. Obviously for me, no. So this comes down to the gender roles. So if I'm vetting a woman, getting to know her, looking at her as potential, and she's talking about some feminist bullshit, right? And
Yes.
then and then next thing you know, there's certain circumstances where she's like, "No, I want you to be a man now." I'm not gonna trust her. I'll be like,
It's
"Whoa!"
Right.
And
confusing.
this is what happens when women try to rip men of their masculinity or enter the dynamic or potential, trying to wear the pants metaphorically. And then in certain circumstances, like the bedroom, no, I want you to dominate. The guy's like, "Oh, so now you're gonna give me the wheel? What do I do?" This whole time. Oh, you want me to pick where to go eat? But I mean, what do you want?
I feel like it's
Right.
exhausting
So
also trying to,
yeah,
deal with somebody like that. Like, yes, no, back and you know what I'm
yes,
saying? It's exhausting. It's
yes.
tiring.
So I'm not going to trust a woman because I look at the littlest thing. So if I'm potentially going on a date and she's already, you know, spitting that feminist bullshit to me, I'm like, nice to meet you. Good luck with your future endeavors. There won't be a second date. Especially if I can't change her mentality right then and there, because it's gonna be like trying to convince a lion he's an elephant.
Mm.
Right.
Talking to a brick wall, playing chess with a pigeon. It's gonna take a shit on the board and dance around like it won. It's like
Right.
that,
Mm,
so you can't trust someone like that. And same thing with a man. If a man is talking about, oh yeah, equal, 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 yeah, I'm agreeable, I'll do what you say, and then certain circumstances he now wants to be controlling, or this is what it's supposed to be. How can you trust that? That's an unreliable person.
mm,
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like people, their minds are warped due to social media, music. It's even in films now. Non-binary. What is this? What is all of this? I
mm.
look at all of this as evil energy. This
Right.
is not how we were back in the day, our ancestors. So I want to thank you for coming on. I want to appreciate you, and I also
Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. I enjoy y'all podcast
yeah.
a lot.
Do you have any final thoughts on do you like us, hate us? Do you have a problem with what I say? Any final thoughts?
Not at all. I do just want to say one thing. Women with the topic of gender roles, women get triggered with gender roles because, like I said, of the structure. But they expect in society today to be able to reap the benefits that men get, as in the sexual, um, the vast sexuality that men usually have, the the financial capabilities of things, and being, in these top tier careers. They want the benefits of that without the hardship. That is what they fail to realize in society. That when you're a man, man deals with hardships. They go through hardships since they were born. They have to construct their lives in a way to keep working towards becoming something valuable in the end. As in, women are always born with their value,
Mm-hmm.
and it depreciates over time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get married young, you're undamaged, and a woman gets married to a man, she becomes an asset like land, the most undepreciable value in the world. Land nor does not depreciate. When that man takes on that woman and she is molded and guided by him, she will become his land. He fertilizes that land. He builds his kingdom on it. And he will see her 34 years, 30 and 40 years later as such an asset to his world. Women don't understand that type of dynamics in the traditional roles of marriage. They want to have their cake and eat it too today by actually reaping all the benefits that comes with hardships of men without putting in the hardships themselves. And that's where they were lied to in feminism.
Mm-hmm.
I always enjoy your views.
Mm-hmm.
You have a
Oh,
really
thank you.
it's
Thank
and
my
and
husband for it. We have these conversations
y-
daily.
and you have a really eloquent way of expressing yourself. So you're intelligent. You speak very well. So
Thank
I
you.
thank you also for coming on the show. I enjoy it.
And thank you guys as well. I would love to return again.
All right, that's always
Absolutely.
good because we would like you to return again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Have a nice one.
You too.
All
Thank you
right.
guys so much.
Take
All right.
care. Um,
So I got a couple. Yep. I got a couple of stuff to say.
okay.
Anything you want to add before I go in?
Um, just that I think gender roles are a trigger mostly for women.
Mhm.
Um, and I think my opinion is that they don't know themselves, or actually, whoever has an issue with gender roles, they don't know themselves and they are easily influenced. And, because they don't know themselves leads them to be easily influenced. And I also think it depends on what kind of trauma, like I said before, they've witnessed or have experienced. But
Yeah.
that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So why are gender roles a trigger? I agree with you ladies, especially Lessons of a Housewife. She says it's mostly women. And I think, like I said, men want to connect with women. So a lot of them will just follow it, whatever they say. Most men will ask, "Oh, what type of guys you're into?" Because they want to wear that mask to be that. Um, Oh, you're into that too? Some guys will lie about spirituality because a lot of women are into it more than men, because they're trying to connect with women on an intimate level, emotional level, psychological level, but mostly physical level, right? Those special men
Mhm.
are the other components. So that's why. So they'll follow women, right? Happy wife, happy life guys, right? They'll follow women. Um, that's number one. So we all agreed it's mostly women. Now, it's all the things on the outward, uh, like the atmosphere, right? Outside of the bubble that's causing women to follow this stuff and go against it. The excessive empowerment, um, the gender roles term, it's like a bad trigger in especially women's mind, and it causes them to think of like confinement.
Mhm.
It causes them because think about it, right? There's not enough education on gender roles. So if you're just getting education or false lies, right? Like a fictitious dream of something, and you don't hear of the other thing, you're going to eventually believe that something. It plays into your subconscious. So the moment the other thing is present, you're like, oh, come on, never heard that before. Stop it.
Mm.
That like, look, we could do this over here. What are you talking about over here? No, no, no. That's definitely confinement because that's the opposite of that. So that's why like terms of submissions is like it translates as oppression. You know what I'm saying? Because of all this. Remember when I've always said this, men have never changed, even till this day. It's women who have, and there's an array of reasons why. Taking the man out of the house, um, you know, some men not being ready, you know, to be fathers, provide and stuff of that nature. So they walk out, leave the woman stranded. That builds resentment towards all men. She has to really heal. You know what I'm saying? But that builds resentment to all men. Fathers not present is paramount. Because that's also building resentment towards men. Now she's just hearing one side, the mother, being around the mother constantly, even if she has communication with the dad. Generational curses. She sees things going on with the mom. She sees probably the mom being the most dominant one with guys, bringing different dudes over.
Mm.
I
That's right.
saw I saw my mom bringing different dudes over, and she was always dominant. So now she's doing the same thing. She's repeating the pattern. She's a single mom now, and she's bringing different dudes over, and she's the dominant one. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like all of these things play a factor. Feminist friends. It's very hard when you now find the man who is traditional and has all these values, and you have all these things that's influencing and telling you do this. They're shaming you if you're doing the other thing and following the guy. So that's a reason. Why are there spiritual consequences? I explained it, but I'll expound how we are spirits in flesh. And our character is based off our spirit. So you might have a woman or a man who's very intelligent, successful, doing uncharacteristic things, like dumb things. Like, why would you do that? Because they're like possessed. You know what I'm saying? Them being inebriated makes them do stupid things too. They're possessed. They can't control that inebriation. They allow those substances to control them. You know, let me see, got seven. I said the circumstances. Um, and then I'm gonna talk about my final thoughts. So you said your final thoughts, right?
Mhm.
Okay, in America, because it's like, well, most foreign countries we're excluding that, but mostly in America, people are sheep, and they believe that it's wrong to change within the time. They hate going against the grain. They believe that this is the natural law, that if you're going against this, you're the rebel. You know, different countries or cultures or even ethnicities, they don't even talk about this stuff. Parents who perhaps migrated to the US, they still, you know, remain they still like remain in their traditional roles in the family. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, let's see. They teach their kids, you know what I'm saying? It could be like foreign, living in the US. They stick to their roles and it's not even talked about. It's like robotic. You know, the women are aware of their role, you know, and so are the men, you know, and they accept it. They understand their role, um, their, you know, whatever they have to do inside and outside of the house, you know, and how they should instill that with their kids, you know, because they saw success there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we kind of look at results and we don't really see those like strong, independent women. I don't need a man being successful and happy. And we don't see those men following women who are straying away from masculinity to be successful and happy. Success for men and women are different. This is what we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So a woman could be like, I got the degrees, I got the money, I'm doing this, I could use a drill, I could use a toolbox, whatever, right? Do the same jobs as men, male centric industries, right? Dominating there. She thinks she's successful. But even statistics show that women aren't the happiest when they're at that level. They're the
Mm-hmm.
happiest being in their core energy and engaging in their natural role, being the mothers, catering to their family, not corporations, raising children, being the nurturer. Um, you know, so that's like a man thing. Like and it's true because when women hear men saying, "Yo, I work hard, I do this, I'm a workaholic," about 90% of women, and I say 90%, the 10, you know, you could leave them, but 90% will be turned on by that. Oh wow, like I love that. I love a hardworking man. Imagine going on a date and a woman's like, I'm a workaholic. I do this. I could do what you do. I'm blah blah blah. I'm such a hard worker. You know what the man's gonna be saying?
When you gonna have time for me?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe in his mind, he might not be that bold to say that, but
Mm.
he's gonna be like, okay, that doesn't turn me on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Because it comes down to the provider and aspect and who's being taken care of aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like when the woman hears the success, when the woman hears the hard work, and when she hears those accolades, she's looking at it, oh, that's turning into something, or it could be, and I could build with him. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of men are not thinking of building with women or being taken care of. So when the woman is like, oh, I work hard, I work all these hours, da da da, I got these degrees, boom, boom, look what I've done. It's doing the opposite of what she thinks. You see what I'm saying? So the success of a man and the success of a woman is totally different. She was talking about value. Women have to try as really, really hard to preserve their value. Preserve it as much as they can. Hold out. Hold
Mm.
out. You got your power here. You gotta hold it. Men gotta build it. Because we gotta work for everything that we get. Even going up to women and talking, even going up to a woman and talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They have to like work to
That
do
courage.
to do that.
Mm.
Whereas a woman can pretty much get whatever she wants and more depending on how she looks
Mm. That's true.
by a man specifically. You know what
And
I'm
by
saying?
women. We've said it. We've
Yeah,
said it before. If a woman is pretty, she gets a pass with everybody. Women,
yeah,
children,
and women,
men,
yep.
everything.
So hurt people, unhealed trauma, this causes us to not think logically. Our intuition is fucked. We become jaded, unhealed, you know, and just so much trauma, going through PTSD. So even like spiritual, and I mean real spiritual people who are in their divine masculine or divine feminine are comfortable with gender roles. You know, the divine masculine will never feel comfortable to put the feminine in his position and her to put him in her position. So when some people out there could be like, oh, when you get in tune with spirituality, it's humans and humanists, and no, that's them trying to fuck up the narrative to work in their favor. That's manipulation. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the natural law when you're in tune with spirituality. But when you're not in tune with spirituality, you say stuff like that.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? But when you're in tune with spirituality, you know what the man is supposed to bring to the table. And you know what you are as a woman, you're supposed to bring to the table. It's not shared. We don't do the same things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I also think, because when you were talking, you triggered me to think of something. I think that a lot of women who have a problem with it, I think that they think, you know, being submissive and gender roles, I feel like they think they have to be that way with all men. Does that make sense? Not just, with the men that they vet and choose and all that. Like, I feel like they think, oh, I have to be submissive to every guy I meet. Like, some guys don't deserve it. Like, you know what I mean? Not necessarily her partner. Her partner may deserve to, for her to be submissive and all that. But, her, let's say, a coworker, a male coworker, he doesn't deserve it. And I feel like women just automatically assume, which is a bad thing, to assume something that's what that means for a woman to be
I'm
submissive.
glad you said that. You triggered my memory.
You see? It's
So
going back and forth now, people.
so when we talk about women being this way, and when they hear men talk, they're like, "Oh man, men are speaking now. Wow, like because we want these type of men." She's right. Sue, you're right.
Oh, thank you.
You can't submit to just anybody because I've seen those dominant women submitting to the betas. And then
Mm,
now they're complaining why those guys are unreliable, why I gave my all, I didn't get anything back. You understand what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm,
It's like it's a give and take. Like Lessons of a Housewife was saying, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. You get the dominant guy. He has certain rules. If they are healthy rules and they're not that big of a deal, follow that. It's easy. Follow that. Listen, I want to act like a maniac on the road. I'm speaking hypothetical. I want to act like a maniac on the road. I'm going to get pulled over. Now, I'm going to mouth off to the police officer, da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da, but I'm being safe. But you know what? I'm taking you to jail.
mm,
And if I don't have a lawyer to fight, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not paying this ticket. I'm going to court and fight this. If I don't bring a lawyer with me, because I can't have law enforcement fighting law enforcement, I'm just representing myself. It's not a big possibility, it's not a big probability of a percentage that I'm gonna win because law enforcement was still together. The police could say anything, and the judge would be like, "Oh, he was mouthing off. He was doing this. He was yeah, okay. You better pay this. Pay this. If you don't, you're going to jail." He's the alpha on the road. So in a way, it's like he pulls you over. What do? Be respectful, da da da, take accountability in that sense. You might be lucky and get off on a warning. But at the end of the day, men control relationship and commitment. So you got no choice but to act right because you don't control that. Some women will manipulate to get the ring, and the guys that fall for it are the betas. And
mm,
they will still be crying and complaining when those guys ain't doing what they want, not satisfied, whatever. But that's their karma for manipulating.
mhm. I
So
was thinking the
ultimately,
same thing.
it's like you want big rewards, you make sacrifices. The dominant guy, you might think he's boring. The dominant guy might come with rules, but you'll be safe. You'll be satisfied. You'll get provided for. You'll get taken care of. You won't have to be all up in your head all the time. Your nervous system won't be up.
Mm,
But then you don't make any sacrifices, right? You get with the weaker guy, you get with the beta. You don't have to make any sacrifices. Oh, wow, this is great. I could have independence and relationship. They're synonymous. They're really not, but they're synonymous. Meanwhile, that woman is so unhappy.
mhm.
She feels like, oh my God, I'm in a relationship with a man, but I really don't have a man because I have to do everything. I have to
Mm,
think
She,
about
she
it.
can't count on him.
She can't rely on him. Yeah. So it's like ladies, you gotta, I'm not saying fake it till you make it, but you gotta you gotta comply. You know what I'm saying? Be within your boundaries. Some shit is not hard to, okay, I shouldn't mouth off on this because I'm gonna get punished or something. Let me just, you know what I'm saying? I'll articulate it in a nice way, bring my voice down, different tone. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for a lot of women to do that today. You know, and then there's circumstances because it's a domino effect, right? You take the dad out the house.
Mm-hmm.
The woman doesn't have a good relationship with her mom. Because remember, the mother's supposed to be teaching her how to be a wife, how to be a girlfriend. So the woman doesn't have a good relationship with her mom. So what is she following? She's just strong and natural and she just follows whatever. So she's learning from these dudes, bad boys, whatever, toxic. She's getting fucked up. And what is her dad gonna do? Her dad can't do too much. He could tell her what guys to see and what not. But if the mom's not backing up him too, it's failure.
Mm.
What if she's the oldest daughter? And she's the one that's reliable. So she naturally builds this dominance and this alpha. That energy is going to bring weak guys towards her. She's going to run away from the strong dudes who are healthy and be like, yo, this is the rules. This, that. Don't dress like that. Don't boom, boom. She probably not going to like that.
Mm.
She going to run to the dudes that let her do whatever. The problem with that is you're at risk.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta, like she was talking about, we can't always follow our desires. At some point of your life, you have to be like, okay, what are my needs? A woman's needs should never change from when she's young to old. The first thing a masculine should bring to the table, protection, security. Before we talk about money, big dick, can I fuck you, da 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 da, what I do, protection.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the prime component. You know what I'm saying? What should the woman bring? Vulnerability. Because if the man's gonna be vulnerable and want to provide and protect and stuff of that nature, she needs to open and be open to receive that. She can't be like, no, 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 no.
Or fighting it.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? He has to bring protection. She has to bring vulnerability. How can she bring vulnerability? By choosing properly. Why are you going to get with men who you know you're not going to be present there 100%? That's the vulnerability. So, the guy, why would you get with women where you're not going to be present there? It's the same thing. So, we think this could work, but it ain't going to work too long. The happy
Mhm.
wife, happy life guy, she's eventually going to cheat on you. She's
Yeah.
eventually going to do something.
And I wonder,
Especially if you're letting her have social media, going out, dress how she wants, do all this stuff. There's gonna be guys that's gonna come, slide in her DM and stuff. And how do you know that? Is she showing you? She gonna cheat. You let her go out to work where it's co-ed, she's gonna cheat, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, that's kind of hard.
She's
Lots
gonna
of places
cheat.
are
If she's
co-ed.
not in her spirituality, say it again.
A lot of places are co-ed work.
If she's not in her spirituality, if she's not strict perhaps on religion, she's gonna definitely cheat. Absolutely. Because if you're in your spirituality, you're building values within yourself. You have a code.
Yeah.
You'll articulate that you're unhappy before you go out and do that. You see what I'm saying? So ultimately, when the woman feels like she's not being fulfilled, you're not being a man, she's gonna seek a man.
Mm. That was good. Damn,
and
that
if
was
and if she
good.
doesn't have a man, guess what she's doing? Because it's a woman's nature to follow, she gonna be following things. Social media, music, television, other feminist friends, whatever, family maybe. And she's gonna think this is what it is to be a woman. Oh yeah, I could post cleavage. I could post my booty. I could be turned to the camera with my booty to the camera. Because they don't think how men think.
Mm.
And now those guys are like, oh, okay, she DTF. She down to fuck. All right, so I'm gonna play the game. I'm gonna pretend I'm here for something great, but I just want the pussy.
Mm.
So now she's like, yo, I can't rely on people. I can't do this. All these fuck boys. Boom, boom. What happened? She put herself at risk because she doesn't have direction. I always say this, and a lot of women get triggered. Women are like children. They constantly need direction and leadership. So if they don't have this, what are they doing? They're following shit. It's very hard for a woman to just be straight narrow, like, yo, I'm strong-minded and I also have emotional intelligence. This is not right. This is not ladylike. No, it's very hard. Takes a really strong woman, and that's 1%. It's a big percentage, but it's still 1% of women who will really go against the grain and be like, no, this is wrong. I got to be traditional.
Mm.
I don't care about shame. I don't care about women saying I'm crazy. I don't care about women saying, oh, does these men have you brainwashed? I don't care. They don't, they're unhappy. They probably wear the pants in their relationship. They don't have men, but I got one. I'm on my way to get one.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. You know, we got to get back into our nature, and getting back into that is knowing yourself. And when you know yourself, you'll find out God is in you.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? When you have God in you, there's a lot of things you're not going to do. And there's a lot of things you're going to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are consequences. People don't like to hear that, and they don't believe it is. They think that they could dictate everything. There are consequences. I've said this in episode 16, BDSM 103, season 2. I don't submit to anybody but God and the ancestors. I will not submit to no man or woman, but I submit to God and the ancestors. They control shit. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, a woman needs to find a man who has God in him. Doesn't mean he's religious, goes to church every Sunday, because a lot of times those people who do that, they're hypocritical.
Mm.
I mean, he's in tune. He submits to God and or the ancestors first, and then he gonna be able to dominate. A woman should pay attention to that. Same thing with a woman. When a man is seeking a woman, she's submitting to God and the ancestors. That's when she's gonna get into her lady like, ornament, like Christmas. She's
Mm.
gonna embody that. You know what I'm saying? And then we can connect. There's a disconnect. Women are more masculine today, men are more feminine. Yes, they will gravitate towards each other due to polarity. However, it's not going to last. Why? Well, I'll tell you, and then we'll cut. Because we revert back to our nature due to certain circumstances. It goes back to what type of circumstances will we implement gender roles?
Mm.
That's what we can't fight. So when these circumstances arise, that's when it's like, fuck. Shit, the woman's like, man, I thought I could do this. She's relying on the man, and he can't. He don't know. Remember, because he's not a leader in that dynamic. Now she's getting
Mm.
frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the man. Oh, this, that, or whatever. I really want to go against or whatever. Now he's struggling. He's having a power struggle. He believes in happy wife, happy life, but he's fighting it now. The lion is coming out. The lion is coming out. He's fighting it.
I wonder if that man who thinks like that, happy wife, happy life, is he still gonna say that, if and when she cheats on him?
Yeah, yeah,
That's not good.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because what he's going to say is, I can't satisfy her. Somebody else will, and he'll become a cuckold.
Oh my God,
Just
that's
don't tell me about
awful.
it. Just don't tell me about it, baby. I know she does her thing. I don't want to hear about it. He becomes that guy
Interesting. Wow.
just to keep his family together. Has an open relationship, probably.
Mm. Okay, yep. I see it now.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it just comes back to our nature. And this is why you always see it. Those people who've been together for so long, something's there.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it's gender roles, and they stick to it. There's definitely a structure and a law and an order. And if we both stray away, we hold ourselves accountable, or one person holds us accountable. He holds her and he holds himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get back on track. But if there's two bosses, two captains on the boat, that boat's never taken off. Two bosses, two CEOs of a organization, it's chaos.
Yep.
And that's what happens. You follow the woman, she's going to lead you off a cliff. Her decisions will be based off emotion, and you need logical thinking to make great decisions. So if women are finding men who are don't have leadership skills, don't have great communication skills, can't, lead, can't instruct, can't implement certain things, doesn't have order, even within himself, isn't consistent, isn't disciplined, isn't even the littlest things on time,
Mm,
on time,
that would drive me crazy.
then that woman is also gonna be on a path to disaster. She has no choice but to take the leadership role. And that's gonna fucking make her go through so much shit because she's not built to handle pressure, especially not the way a man should. That's what it comes down to.
Mm,
So we gotta educate more on this. It's we're getting educated more on the other thing. Oh, empowerment, this, that, women, women, women. It's all women centric now. And men are just like shrugging their shoulders. Well, I guess let's follow the women because we still want to have sex with them. We still want to get with them. We still want to get married. And that's why now you got the term passport bros
mm-hmm.
because they're going to foreign countries to get their wives because they're more feminine and submissive there. And they're either bringing them back to America or they're residing there.
Mm,
You see?
that's interesting.
All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you were tuned in to one of the most raw, uncut, unapologetic, real Discipline Therapy podcasts.
Peace.
Peace.